Hi, thanks for tuning in to the live premiere stream for Love Mom, the short film that we got to make. We made it for a competition in England where 20 filmmakers were selected to make a short film, all with the same script. But you could change basically anything on that script. So the characters, what they said, even details like props. And that is what we chose to do. So the film that you see on this YouTube channel, Love Mom, is a very different film from that original script. Now, I felt like changing it was the right thing to do because the original script, though it was nice, didn't really speak to me that much. And we had just made Welcome to Earth a year ago, and we really liked the fact that it touched a lot of people and that they felt connected to the story in some way. Now, today on this premiere stream, we are going to obviously talk about the film, and a couple of cast and crew members will join us to do so. Now, they've just seen the film for the first time. It premiered for them at the same moment as it did for you on YouTube. So we're going to talk about both their experience on the set and also about their experience watching the film for the very first time. So we're happy for you to join us, and you can ask any questions you may have in the comment section. They will be read and maybe brought into the live stream or answered later. For now, we're gonna watch the teaser for the film Love Mom.
I'll go to the police. I'll tell them. They can protect him.
Only one more. After all, what's greater than a mother's love?
So that was the teaser for our short film, Love Mom. It's out on YouTube, you can watch it now, but we obviously prefer you stay with us here for a bit and watch the rest of the stream. But you can definitely go there, watch it for 10 minutes and come back now. We will still be here talking about it and answering your questions. Now, the person that will help us answer your question is here live as well. He's called Max. And Max joined our team 3 years ago while we were making a short comedy film called True Love. He became one of the more prominent members of the team and joined a lot of sub-teams for art, production, and also the promotion team. And today he will answer your questions. Hi, Max.
Hi, Dan. Good to hear you.
Yeah, good to hear your voice again. Are you ready to answer the questions of people at home?
Yes, of course. I'm ready here in the control room to answer all of your questions for the short film Love Mom. I can see him on the screen, and we're able to ask you to put on the comments below this section, and we can answer them for you. Enjoy, and I see you later.
Thank you, Max. And obviously, we're all doing this from home due to a little bit of a lockdown we're in because of the coronavirus. But that's okay. We're still enjoying the premiere of our short film. Now, some other people that will join the stream are some of the other members of the cast and crew, among which the main actors and also two prominent members of the crew. And the first person that will join us is Kevin. Kevin, hey, you've just seen the film today.
Yes,
what was it like?
It was confronting. It was very confronting, actually, because you know, at the set, you're in that moment of preparation and just, you know, you're in this bubble. So, yeah, you have no clue, like what's going to happen with the edit and what's going to be the final product. So, yeah. but I was very happy to see, you know, what it has become.
Yeah, that's good to hear. And obviously we'll be talking a bit more to you later on about the difficulties you had bringing this character to life, or maybe how easy it was. But it was a very, very dark character to play. The next person we're going to have up in the stream is Lisa. She was our art director on this film. And Lisa, what did you think when you saw the film for the first time?
Yes, I really enjoyed the movie. It's always a little surprising to see something when it's really done, because as an art director, it's really a different thing to see and choose props and then see them in the movie come alive. It's really nice to see.
Good, thank you. And obviously we're going to talk to you a little bit later about all the things that we did to bring this story to life. And, you know, your job is quite important for that, as some people may or may not know when they are watching. And the next person that we will talk to after you is Isabella, and she is one of the main actors in our film, the lead role in this case. Julia, hi.
Hi.
So it was you seeing yourself on screen, and I don't think we're spoiling anything with that, crying throughout the film. What was it like to see yourself in that state?
It was very unusual. I've never seen myself in anything on screen before, even though I've done projects before. I've never seen the end result, so that was really cool. But the story is so harrowing and interesting that I sort of got sucked up in that instead of watching myself, which is maybe a good thing.
I think it is, and I think it means you did a pretty decent job if you managed to see someone else than just yourself.
Maybe, or maybe I'm trying not to be a narcissist.
Well, I think that's a good aim to have as a lead actress in a film, even if it is just a very small production like ours. The person we're going to talk to, probably one of the last tonight, is Noah. She did a lot of the makeup and special effects for our previous film, but also on this film. Noah, what did you think when you saw the film for the very first time? And we can't hear Noah at this time, so we will definitely check back with her and see when her audio works. And off screen, she is not very happy with the sound. But we're gonna fix that and we get her in later, because I'm sure we'll figure it out. Now let's talk a little bit about the background for Love Mom. Now, obviously this was made for a competition where 20 filmmakers were invited to submit a short film, all based on the same script. And some stayed very true to that script, but a lot of them, like us, made something completely different that still connected in some ways to that script. Now, it was a blast seeing the very high quality of all those filmmakers, which is obvious because they were all selected based on their previous projects. And they were quite good. We had seen a couple of them, and we knew the competition would be very fierce. Now, we were up to win $1 million if we made the film that investors that were attending liked most, and that will go towards making a next film project. Now, I'm not spoiling anything when I tell you that we didn't win, but we were quite far up there with some of the best films that were there. So we were very happy to see that. Now, the film that brought us all to the point of getting to participate in this was our last short film, Welcome to Earth. At this time, it's been watched 1.6 million times, and we have enjoyed all the comments that people made and how many people connected to that story. And the trailer for that one is the one you're going to see right now.
There has never been a mission more vital than this one.
Do you swear to find extraterrestrial help or die trying?
I swear! The entire world will know you're out there, representing us.
Zorg jij nou maar gewoon dat je bij ons terugkomt. Ik bedoel, de kinderen en wat als?
Pose for the picture!
Ze zijn er ergens te vinden en ik ga ze vinden.
Het voelt gewoon allemaal niet goed.
Now, this was obviously, a very nice experience making this film, getting to make them with all the people that joined us, some of which joined us again for this film as well. And it did enormously well due to the very human story. So if you haven't seen it yet, you can be one of the first 2 million to do so. So we encourage you to do so as well. But with our new film, we took a very different approach. It was a much smaller story about a young woman who was forced to do something horrible, and otherwise her child would die. Now, that is a very different story from A Couple of Aliens, and obviously we took a very different approach to making that. If you're just joining us, that may be the case because we're live. We're going to show that little teaser for Love Mom once more so you know what we're talking about in this stream.
I'll go to the police. I'll tell them. They can protect her.
Only one more. After all, what's greater than a mother's love?
So that was the teaser for our little short film called Love Mom. And we're very happy with the result. And we're going to talk about it with one of the actors you only just saw a hint of, and that's Kevin. He played the dark character. Kevin, welcome in the stream. And Kevin was first seen as Major Gill in Welcome to Earth, as the commander of 6 very brave astronauts that he had to fight for their right to be remembered after their death. Now in Love Mom, he threatens Julia's child with death. A very different role, which he took on with the same vigor. Kevin, what was it like to play such a dark character?
It was a very good opportunity for me to dive into this kind of role, because it was the first time ever that I had a chance to do it. So, and it was very interesting to go to dark places in your mind where normally you don't have the reason to do that. So now when I got the role, I got some digging into some dark places, and it was interesting.
Yeah. So how did you prepare for this role? What made you want to play it in the first place?
Yeah, it's because it's really a challenge for me, because I'm a father of 4 kids, and this guy stands like for things that are so far away from me as a person. But then for me as an actor, it's a nice chance to to investigate and to dive into a mind of this sick, like, serial killer. Yeah, that's the interesting part of me, for me to do it.
Yeah. And when you talk about diving into a character, that's what you do, because you are very much a method actor, aren't you? What does that mean for the people who don't know?
Yeah, exactly. I'm a method actor. I'm method trained. What it means is that you really empathize with your character. You don't approve what they do, but you empathize. You dive into their minds, their thoughts and their intentions, and like everybody has their dark sides, of course, but for this character is is quite perverse and is really extreme. But for him, every not everyone everyone is is born with a clean slate. So something happened in his life that made him do these things, and those are the moments that you dive into. So why is this character doing the things that he's doing? And you try to relate with that and try to use use the things in your own life
And
try
what
to
made
project
you
it and
interested
use
to
it
play
for
this
the role.
character?
Well, what interested me is to dive into my own dark places, you know, because that's what actors do. You always try to look for new new places, new boundaries that you try to level up, and just because this is a role or like a character that's so far away from me, that for me it was a challenge to do it.
Yeah, and obviously it was a great challenge, not just because of the character, but also because of the short time you had to learn a couple of the lines. Because I remember sending them to you maybe only hours before you were supposed to be on set.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That was a really big challenge, you know. I'm a very big fan of improvising, but now, yeah, you really tested me with improvising like that. Like, I got the script like 2 weeks prior, but that was only like 20% of the script, and the same day I received the rest of the script. So, I had to be on set like 7 o'clock, and it was a lot of waiting. But in those times, those couple of hours, I was really trying to, um, really try to get the lines in my head. But the most important thing, like in the way I am trained, is the first thing you have to nail is the behavior, is the intention, is to dive into the personality. So then you have to behavior down, and then when you got the lines, when you got the red thin line, you go with that. And well, when I saw the result, I have to say that yeah, that I'm pretty satisfied with with what I saw, and with the lines too.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Kevin. We're gonna go on with the stream and talk to Max for a little bit. We introduced him before, but let's get him into the stream once more, because Max, you're ready to answer any questions that people may have when they join the stream.
Yes.
What did you think when you saw the film for the first time?
I was surprised, actually. I was part of the crew, but on set you get a different feeling of what is going on during the filming. But the result you can watch about a few minutes. It's a horrifying story. So it's dramatic and emotional. I think it's pretty successful, Dan. Thanks. I think that we make a huge new movie, and I would like to say to all the audience, watch them and spread the word that this movie is gonna break the roof.
Well, let's hope so.
Yes.
The next person up on the live stream is an art director, and let me tell you a little bit about the background. Lisa does art direction to create the world in which the characters live, and that goes from the rooms where they are in the film to the objects they hold and the clothing they wear, and that's the way we try to build a world around the story we have. Lisa, hi.
Hi there. Hello.
Welcome in the stream.
Thank
You
you.
have just seen Love, Mum for the very first time, and what was the thing that struck you most, maybe that you didn't expect?
Well, I was quite surprised with the lighting. I saw just a little bit of it on set, and it's just, and when you see it as a film that's done, you really get to see it as the whole picture, how it works. And I really like the blue lighting in the hotel room with the yellow lights coming out of the door. It was quite surprising.
Yeah, and that's something people may not realize, that even if you're on the set and know the story, you never really see the whole picture until you actually see the film. So you may be busy doing something else, and you might miss it. But for anyone who doesn't know, what does an art director do?
Yes, an art director is somebody who designs the film. So when you have the scenario, you get to decide, or you pick out all of the props that are needed, the clothing, costume. Sometimes that's done by somebody else, but in short movies, mostly by the art director. And you have to make a plan with your art team about the props that have to get gathered, and like what colors are you going to use in the sets, and what kind of style do you want to make, so that you can really get the message across of the director's vision.
Yeah, and it all starts for you with the script, right? Then how do you translate that into, props, costumes, and maybe other things you need?
Well, first, when you read the script, you kind of read it like a book, and then the second time you read it more technically, you make a breakdown. It's like a list of everything you're gonna need, and you discuss with the director what you want to make of it. So, what kind of style do you want to make? And then you try and design it in like mood boards, and then each time get a step little further to realization.
Yeah, and what were some of the main difficulties that you encountered in the pre-production for this film?
Well, there was quite little time. Luckily, there was not too much needed for the film, but some things like the baby carriers that has to be two like almost exactly the same, and we would like them to be secondhand, so they were not too expensive. And there had to be made a bomb, and that's quite unusual, and not very difficult, but some original stuff.
Yeah, and certainly not something that we make all the time.
No, exactly.
Bombs and guns generally. That may be something we try to avoid in the Netherlands. And why is that?
Oh, well, maybe because if you have to shoot on the street, you don't want people to call the police.
Yeah, that may be it. That may be it. So we try to avoid it generally. But it was quite good to have them in this film. I think it wouldn't be the same if he carried a knife, which is, all goes to show how much props make a film. Was there a favorite prop you have in this film?
Ooh, I really like the bomb Jeffrey made. And I also like to make the newspaper you see a couple of times in the film.
Yeah, that actually surprised me quite a lot, because as we had quite little time, I hadn't seen all of it and hadn't had all the time to see it. And one very interesting thing was that you managed to make it look like a paper that was written for the entire first page, but it wasn't really, was it?
Well, no. It just made it look like it. So, and then put a real news. You have to get little tricks to make it seem realer.
Yeah, and I only noticed this when I got home and got to see the paper and saw that it looked like it was all original text, but then you had smartly copied some stuff in places where nobody would bother to look. So that's very interesting. And also you did a bit of Photoshop on the picture we used, didn't you?
Yes, I did. The picture was a little, I think it was from a plane crash. So I had to Photoshop the plane out of it.
Yeah, I remember seeing it for the very first time, and one thing I didn't notice was like something that looked slightly like a propeller. So I asked you, can we get rid of that so it just looks like more of a general explosion? And you performed quite well. I can see that was a plane crash in the first place. So that's very interesting to see from my perspective.
Oh, thank you.
Now, how did you choose how to dress the characters of the film? Did you contrast it? Why did you choose the clothes they wear?
Well, it's you talk about it with the director, and then I think about it. What do you want to say as a character? How it's dressed, and I think this film had to be a little bit stereotypical because it's a short film. You just want to make it direct. So a businesswoman has business clothes, and you make the colors a little bit stereotypical.
Okay, thank you so much, Lisa. We're gonna go ahead and get Noah in the stream, and Noah joined our film team for the first time while making Welcome to Earth, our previous short film, and she made a couple of aliens look quite realistic. And we really like that, and we asked her back for this project where she did special makeup as well. And generally, whether you need aliens, blood, or tears, Noah is the one you want to call. Hi, Noah.
Yes, hi.
So what was it like for you to watch the film for the very first time?
I was really touched by it. Yeah, it touched me in my heart, because at the last bit, she carried her baby away, and because I have a child of my own, a boy, I think I would make the same choice. Yeah.
Yeah, and it is a very smart choice in a horrible circumstance to make for her, because she kind of
really, yeah,
well, spoiling it, but she kind of sidesteps the problem she has that way, although she pays a high price for it.
Really high price.
Yeah, I think it's a really painful film in that sense. And she feels the same, because she's crying a lot, I would say, for the entire, big parts of the film. How did you manage to help the actress perform all that crying?
Yeah, you have several kinds of tricks for it. For example, you have a stick you put under the eyes, and they going to cry, but after a while it doesn't work anymore. So I have this stick. It contains menthol. I blew it into her eyes, and the eyes get very irritated, and then tears appear. So that's the trick. But I have to do it a lot of times. I think each half hour, probably. So at the end of the day, she had very, very irritated eyes, and I didn't have to blow anymore, because they stopped running. So sorry, Isabel or Julia. She's the main character. Yeah.
So how did you use makeup? And this is something, as a guy, I know very little about, even though, I am into making films. How do you use it to make people look very different? Because apart from her, you also made one of the final characters we see in the film look quite different from how she normally does.
Yeah, normally I accentuate or camouflage or correct the face, but Isabel has a beautiful face, but I had to make it horrible. I put some mascara underneath her eyes, so it looks like she cried all the time. So that's what I did with her. And I gave her more like, how do you call them? If you have sleep not very much, then you get, how do you call them, Dan? I don't know anymore how, sorry, if you don't sleep a lot, you get?
I don't know what it's called, but I think everyone has experienced it. And if you've ever been on a set, you know exactly what they look like. So then you're very happy that Noah is there to kind of fix it.
Yeah, normally, but in Isabel's case, I made them even worse. So she looked tired, and everything it was not a nice makeup. It was a horrible makeup. And also her hair, I had to make it messy. And every time it started to look right, I messed up again because in the last shot it was messed up. So, and it's really necessary when you make a movie that the continuity of the makeup is always the same. So, yeah,
that's very interesting.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it's
So
one of the
normally you
things.
put it.
Yeah.
Normally you put it where it was, and now I had to, yeah, I do it too now again, but now it's getting messy again.
Yeah, so that's very interesting because, I try to cast actresses to look quite representable and maybe quite nice, and then
Sorry,
you have the
there's
job of
me, and
messing them up.
yes, yes, that's what I like about my job. Yeah, yeah, to change people. Yeah.
Yeah. So all of the things you do in a film are usually not things you will notice right away because, we try to keep it quite subtle. But one of the things that we spent quite a bit of time on upfront was, no, it's actually going to spoil the film, but if you haven't seen it, you can click away now or mute the sound. We're going to talk about something that spoils it a little bit, but she gets shot. And
Yes.
you spent some time working on a wound that we could actually control.
Yes, yes. A special control system I put on her. So I had a wound in the front and a construction. And via this construction, I could transport the blood into the wound. And when she got shot, it looks like she's really dying with blood. So, but yeah.
Yeah. And that's one of the interesting things that you don't get to see quite that well in the film, because normally with filming, you make a lot of things that you may or may not use. And we really like the wound, but in the end, we chose to make it a bit more subtle in how she died and really focus on the face.
That's better.
What did you make of that, us ruining your work?
No, I don't care. It's what the best is for the movie. It's good by me. I don't care. It's not nice how I say it, but if it's the best for the movie, then it's fine by me. So, yeah.
Yeah. And that's also the best mindset, I think, because it's a common phrase, kill your darlings. Even if you like it very much, which we sometimes do, like we like something very much, but then if it doesn't work for the film, you should cut it and do something else.
Yeah, of course.
What's the moment that you remember most from the set?
The moment, I had a lot of nice moments. The moment I especially remember was one moment we were in the metro of Amsterdam. We were driving up and down. How do you call it? Let me see. The Oostlijn. Sorry. The conductor gave me a book. So
yeah, it's one of the very few metro systems in the Netherlands, and we were lucky enough to film in it.
Yeah, but really, if you go to Amsterdam, go to this line because there is a lot of nice artwork there on the platforms. So we were driving up and down and we had to wait for 5 minutes. So Isabella, Lucas, and I get out to take a fresh breath of air. And before we notice, the metro have left. Oh, we were glad we had some, the rest of the crew in it. And we were lucky we have a mobile with us. So we called you and you get out at the next platform and we get in at the platform we stood on. And then we joined each other again. But I felt a little bit of shame, to be honest. Yeah, sorry. Yeah,
well,
because
it definitely is one of my darker moments, as a director, sitting in a metro, moving away from the person that does the hair and makeup and, the main actress. That is the only one we're filming with that day. At least in the metro system. Well, there might be a problem.
Yeah. Yes, sorry, Dan.
No, it's quite all right. And we were quite lucky that in the Netherlands, you don't have that many metro systems, and they're quite close, to the ground. So they're not that deep. So we could actually call each other.
Yeah. Luckily. Yeah. what else had we do if we didn't have that? Yeah, I don't
Well,
think about it.
Yeah, thank you, Noah. We're going to go to
Yeah,
Max
you're
for a
welcome.
moment and see if there is a question yet.
Yes, there is a question. We have a question from Ed van Rouwendaal. He asked in Dutch, how important is photography during filming on the set? Still photography in this case. How important is that? And is it relevant for making, for example, a good poster or a promotion? Who is able to answer that question?
Well, I think that will be me. But I think in general, it is quite important. As with any part of filmmaking, you can kind of get around not having done so. Unfortunately, we have had a couple of occasions where we kind of needed to work around something. But generally, if you have good pictures from set, you're very happy because you can use them in promotion, you can use them in whatever way. And especially for the poster, it helps if you plan that out. If you don't, it's gonna take more time to make something good.
Yeah. Another question I get from the crew, Dan, is for you as well. What are the future plans for the Open Film team? Are there any more movies to come? Are we eager to find out what is for you the best new movie for next year?
Yeah, that's a good question. And for the people watching that may not know this, probably don't know this, the Open Film team is a team in a very loose definition. Because although we're quite a, decent team of people, filmmaking is quite hard to do in a short time span. So we have several projects that take quite a long time, or we may have a bit of time where we make nothing at all. So, even people in the crew that are quite close to the process or me don't always know when the next production is going to come up. And even I, as the director, don't really always know. That's one of the difficulties if you're going to make a film that's going to take quite a bit of time. So we want to be certain that we're going to make something that is probably going to be good.
Sounds good. We are excited to work with you on the new projects, Dan.
Thank you, Max. Always very exciting that we got to build this team over the past couple of years. And I think we're getting more and more to the point that we make some very amazing stuff. And we started out making fun stuff, but I think it's getting better and better with all the people that are joining us. We're going to go to the next person that was the lead actress in this film. And one of the things you need to know about her is that she is the first actress that cried every day she was on set for one of our films. This is the second role in the film of the Open Film team that Isabella played, but it's the first one that premiered. And she's going to tell us now, how does that feel?
It's bizarre. I've never seen myself on camera before, so that was very, very interesting. And completely harrowing because I'm crying all the time. So that's an interesting experience.
Yeah, and we just talked to Noah, who told us that she basically did anything but assault you to get you to cry. What was that like for you to be handled that way?
Look, I love the smell of menthol. After a while, it does get a bit much. So, look, her talking about the menthol stick definitely now still brings tears to my eyes, just the memory of it, which is nice. I could have used that on the day. But, lessons learned, skills learned. That's good.
So the next time you have to cry, you just think about her and the menthol and tears start flooding down.
Noah. Oh, Noah. She did such a good job.
Yeah, that's very good because the one thing that I was slightly worried about was maybe, you know, all the crying is going to be hard on actresses, and no, it just went like, it's going to be fine.
I was very pleased. I had done experiments at home trying to get initially really emotional, but that was really hard to sustain, of course, because by the time we sort of ended up shooting things, we were shooting overnight, which makes you really tired, and after a certain point you just become emotionally numb, so you can't physically squeeze out any tears anyway. And then my other option, I was thinking like maybe tiger balm, someone had said online, but I think that's only good for a sore back, so probably wise I didn't put that on my face.
But apart from the actual tears, what is it like to have to cry that much on screen? Because it's quite an intense physical thing to do all the time as well.
Yeah, look, it's exhausting. Really, I was very tired, but I think more so than just the crying was the emotion of the role. And I was very intrigued by the character and the processes that she has to go through, because I just don't understand how anybody could truly go through something like that. And I wanted to experience trying, at the very least, to get into that process and experiment with your sort of dark emotions. But when you're in there and you're doing it for that long, a couple of days at a time, and then it's exhausting. I mean, days afterwards, I still felt this like weird, dark sort of feelings that I just couldn't shake.
Yeah, and that's something that, you know, obviously has haunted you for quite a while. Are you okay now?
I'm okay now, thank you.
We're very happy to hear
it. A cat who's trying to eat food behind me. I'm very sorry.
It happens. It happens when you do this broadcast from home. But we're very happy that you joined us.
Thank you.
What happened when you missed the metro? Was it your fault? Was it Noah's fault? Will you spill the beans?
Look, I'm not going to name names. I will say that, first of all, it was an accident. Also, while we were filming inside the metro, what you don't see on camera is that I was sort of sitting across from the camera, different angles, whatever. There was an empty side of the carriage that we were filming into, and then behind the cameras was like a wall of commuters and tourists who were taking pictures and gossiping. So that was really intense as well. Also still trying to cry and be very emotional and feel very sad for the situation. So when we got to the end of the line, I was like, we have a couple of minutes, we'll be fine. So I got out and we chilled for a bit, got some fresh air, got some space from the tourists, and then just got way too much space all of a sudden because the metro was gone. But I'm not going to name names. It might have been.
And this is something funny, because let me take the blame here. I saw you guys leave the metros, and I thought to myself, we need to get them back in on time. But I thought, well, no, they're old and responsible and definitely will pay attention. And then as the doors closed and we drove away, I looked at the assistant director and I was like, this is our fault. Let's be fair. We gave them far too much responsibility.
That's so generous that you claim that as your fault. I'll give it to you.
Well, I'm happy to take it. You know, however the film turns out, it's definitely my fault. But we were happy that we had a lot of help in the metro system, because, you know, how did we keep that carriage free of people?
They were amazing. Those metro people were incredible, and they were so proud of their metro. I had no idea that was something I could get so excited about, but Noah was right. There was artwork everywhere, and the staff were really nice. They let us use our staff bathrooms, which I really appreciated, because they had a lot of tears happening. It was very dramatic, and so that was nice.
Yeah. And one of the things I liked was us sitting in the metro, all enjoying you crying and crying and crying, while a lot of people were to the back of the metro standing and thinking, there's plenty of room there. Why is that girl crying? She has all the space.
She's so entitled. I can see how they would get that idea.
So what drew you to the role of Julia? You know, this woman who something horrible happens to and has to make this terrible decision. What made you want to play this character?
I honestly have never touched anything like this before. So I was extremely intrigued by the possibility of doing something this dark and sad and desperate. Because mostly I've worked in comedy and on stage mostly as well. So working in front of cameras was also a pretty interesting experience. But not only the role itself, also just the experience. I think it was really interesting to see how everything worked, how beautifully the cameraman thought about how everything was going to look and the lighting was going to look, and how you guys had sort of set up everything so perfectly, and there was so much thought behind everything. And to see the magic behind that filming was such an amazing experience that I had to at least try to get into that, also to get into the role. So that was a sort of double whammy. There were two very drawing factors in there.
And that's obviously something that we enjoy about film, and we're always excited for people to join. But it wasn't an easy day of filming, was it? Especially the first day.
No, it was pretty long. Yeah, it was a long night.
And that sometimes happens while we figure something out, we think it's going to go one way, and then we spend most of a night trying to get the shots we need. What was it working like with an actual baby that, although she was great, didn't help the speed?
Look, babies are going to baby. It's the number one rule. If you're going to have them on set, just be aware they're going to baby. But as a non-parent who was trying to get into a parenting role of somebody who was really sad about possibly having to say goodbye to their child, delightful child to work with. She was so cute. I was like, I could claim this baby. I could just walk away with her right now. No one would question this. They totally would. But she was so cute and mostly very well behaved. And her parents were lovely. They were very forgiving when she cried.
Yeah, and they were probably, there because, I had a sense you might want to walk away with a baby. So I made certain the parents were very close,
Just in case. I don't know. It's usually I'm not a child's person, but that one I could make an exception for. She was very sweet.
So, we kept the mother quite close to the baby to kind of, help the baby have something she knew, a person she knew very close. That meant that you were acting, sitting alone in this room with a child, with the mother next to it. What was that like?
That's a really good question, actually. It felt a little bit strange, I think, because I felt like a bit of an imposter, because I was sort of claiming someone else's child. But at the same time, it was interesting to have that connection with like a family, I suppose, in like a film setting. That was really interesting. I would never have expected that moving here.
Well, we were very happy that you joined our film, and we will certainly hope to see you in maybe a next project. Although we always audition our participants. What was it like going through the auditions?
Yeah, it was nerve-wracking, to say the least, but exciting. I think sort of hearing about it and putting my name down straight away. I didn't even have good headshots, so it was very kind that I got sifted through anyway. And then I got to travel for the auditions, which was really cool. And going through them, I felt quite comfortable trying new things. So that was actually a pretty nice experience, yeah.
So that's something we don't often hear. The auditions were such a nice... No, I think generally you try to make it nice, but it can be hard to audition, right?
Yeah, it can be really hard to audition. I mean, if you don't feel comfortable or, if you, I don't know, you get called upon to do some pretty strange things. I've had some really weird auditions in my time, but it's, again, usually sort of stage acting or improvisation stuff, so they ask a lot of you. Whereas coming into this audition, it was nice because as much as I was exploring these really, really dark feelings, I could still feel comfortable, which was great. That was a very nice thing about working with this team. At no point in the experience did I feel uncomfortable. Although I will say, spoiler alert, can I spoil something in the film?
Yeah, I think at the end of this stream, we can spoil the film even more than we did.
Okay, tiny spoiler alert, mute for like 15 seconds. The only time I felt uncomfortable was at the end of the first night of filming. I had like a wound that Noah had built for me that was on my body and under my shirt. And when she like first like pumped the blood through it, it looked so real that it made me feel faint. And like I just like all the color drained from my face, and I was like, oh my god, I'm dying. It was wild.
Well, that probably helps the acting. Although there's one question I should ask you before we end this stream and thank everyone for watching, and that is, do you remember when we shot your face being so blank and white right when you are dying?
Yes.
And when was that?
When did you shoot that?
Yeah, it's one of the little tricks we did in editing. It wasn't while you were dying, in fact. It was a very different point.
Was it?
It was. and I think that's the bombshell we should end it on. That you have no idea that we didn't do a close-up.
No, I need to go back and watch it again. Will you tell me, or am I just going to be sitting here?
No, I'll try to tell you.
Okay.
But the truth is, I don't remember as well. I know we really needed a shot in editing where you were like very, hit by that bullet, and we didn't shoot a close up. So I went back into the footage of very different moments where you were just watching him enter, and it fit perfectly because you weren't in the character's in a mindset that's quite dark as well. So that was very amazing that we found that little bit of
I'm very impressed that you guys pulled that off. You shouldn't admit that. I feel like you should leave that movie magic out.
Yeah, maybe. Well, I think everyone who made it to the end of this stream is definitely entitled to a very little bit of, one of those secrets. So I'm happy to share it. And I think it's fair to admit it to you, because at some point in your life, you might think, wait a second, we didn't shoot a close-up right there.
To be honest, I don't even know what we'd shot by that point. I think we'd been shooting for like quite a while at that point. I think it was like 5:30 or something around that time in the morning. It was very early or late.
Yeah. So I really liked talking to all of you. I know most of the other people are still listening in and watching this stream. But it's quite late again already in the Netherlands, so we're going to end the stream now. I want to thank everyone for watching, and we certainly hope you enjoy our newer short film, Love Mum. It can be seen on this YouTube channel right now, and with that we're going to thank you, and we hope to see you with our next premiere, or obviously within the Open Film team. Thank you very much.